Welcome to Pure Truth Podcast. This is your host and producer, Lucas Beely. And today, when I woke up, I know today is Saturday, and I still plan to, talk about a series a little bit later today. But this morning, when I woke up, I it was almost like God, uh, because I discovered the gift of truth, that there is a gift of truth out there that God can give people. And so, um, one of the things is, uh, so I was thinking about this morning, like, is there a thing called gift of truth? And I started when I started to think about it, I was like, well, God, He holds truth. The Lord Jesus Christ holds the truth. Um, Wisdom comes from God. So what I'm saying is, likewise, truth also comes from God. And so if truth comes from God, yeah, there would have to be a gift that is called the gift of truth. And so I believe that some people have the gift of truth. And I was shown that this morning. Um, Actually, like this morning, I got up. I did not want to get up. I was really tired. And I was laying in bed. And then all of a sudden, just bam. Like it was almost like God spoke to my spirit and said that I had the gift of truth. Um, and so like this morning, I was, kind of thinking, what would the gift of truth be? And um, the Lord answered me, um, and He kind of revealed what the gift of truth is. Um, so something that I've always done is whatever I'm reading about or whatever I'm studying or like whatever I'm listening to somebody speak. Um, it's like I'm able to uh, pick apart what is true in like certain statements, what's true and what's not true in certain statements. And then like if somebody's speaking, it's almost like I'm able to discern what is truth about what they are saying and what is false about what they are saying. um or like um another example is almost like knowing that um the world does not orbit around the sun. Now a lot of people will laugh at that, but I don't really believe that the world orbits around the sun. I do have, if you go to my channel, you will find um, videos where I do talk about why I believe it's actually the sun that orbits around the Earth. Um, but it's taking, like, the gift of truth is simply taking what people have said and going, well, I don't know if that's really true. Um, but then, yeah, like so it's kind of difficult if you're somebody that has the gift of truth, but not the gift of knowledge or not the gift of wisdom, because if you are somebody with the gift of truth, you can see that, what a person is talking about or teaching about. You can see what is true and what is not. But then like, so again, for example, a good example is scientists have said for years, for decades, that the Earth um, orbits around the sun, and I simply don't believe that that is true. Now, here's where the gift of knowledge comes in. I have to, you know, I can't just say, well, I don't believe that that's true. I have to, use the gift of knowledge um, to explain why that would be false. So you can see the gift of knowledge works with the gift of truth, um, and so, but yeah, you can have the gift of truth where you can kind of discern. The gift of truth is simply, discerning what is a lie and what is a truth out of, like, let's say you're studying something. Let's say you're studying history. um, you can discern what actually is, true, and what wouldn't be. Now, history is history, so I'm not saying that I mean, I'm not trying to, say that any history is false. I'm not going to go down that route. Um, so, but that's just for example, a person with the gift of truth can kind of discern from a sermon what the pastor is talking about, because yeah, there could be, um and I've experienced this, where a lot of Christians would say, whatever, and I would be like, well, I can see where there's some truth to that, but then I can also see where maybe not all of it is true. And what am I talking about here? For a good example, a really good example, um, in Genesis 3, when the serpent is talking to the woman, and um, the woman says, um, if we eat, we will die from the forbidden fruit. And the serpent says, you will not die. Now, um, put yourself in Adam and Eve's shoes, like going back to when God told them not to eat from the forbidden fruit, or you will surely die. Now, take that statement, put yourself there, and think, if you were the one hearing those words, what would you think? You would probably think that you're going to drop down dead as soon as you ate the fruit, the forbidden fruit, right? So think about this. If you're a child and somebody says, don't touch that stove, it's hot, it's going to burn, your skin if you touch it. Um, you as a child, you're like, now, I mean, children, we know out of curiosity, they're going to touch that hot stove. But immediately you are thinking, um, you're thinking, you have that mindset of, of that stove is hot, right? Like if somebody tells you, don't touch that stove, you're going to get burned. That's planted in your mind that if you touch that hot stove, you're going to get burned. And so what I'm saying is, likewise, that's what Adam and Eve would have thought. That if they ate from the fruit, they would have died right then and there. They would have died right then and there. That's their thought process, because it's not like God, he didn't explain how they would die, or he just says, the scriptures just say, or you will surely die. And so you have to think, when somebody tells you that don't touch the stove or else you're going to get burned, that's what your thoughts are, that if you touch the stove, you're going to get burned. Now, again, if you're a child, you're probably going to be curious, and you're going to touch it anyways. but that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you have, like, all of a sudden, like that's your thinking is, if I touch the stove, I'm going to get burned, because that's what the person said. That's what the person told you. They didn't tell you that it would hurt. They didn't tell you the pain level. They just told you were going to get burnt. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like Jesus didn't, or God, ooh, oh man. The Lord, God didn't say when they would die. He just said that they would surely die. And so on, and I'm not trying to blame, because that's not the Lord's fault. The Lord did, tell them that they would surely die. So I'm not, but I'm just saying that that's all they had. That's all they had to go by. Is so putting yourself in their shoes, you can see where that's all they had to go by. So when you look at what the serpent in chapter 3 verse 4 says, you won't die, the serpent replied to the woman. So the woman, we see before that in 3, she is saying that they will surely die, right? And what the serpent is doing is he knows that they believe. So what he is doing is he's taking what they think will happen. So Adam and Eve think that they're just going to drop dead if they eat and so what this serpent is doing is he's taking their belief. He's going off of their belief, and he's saying that, no, you're not going to die. He's saying, no, you're not going to drop dead, because that's what he's going off of. He's going off of what they believe. What they believe God said. So God speaks to us all the time. And some of us, we misunderstand what God really is saying. The Pharisees obviously misunderstood what the law of Moses was there for. And so that's the reason why when Jesus comes to the scene, they're a little confused. And, that's the reason why they're, but also they think they know better, which is the reason why they're asking so many questions. But that's what I'm saying. It's like the law of Moses, they didn't quite understand what the law of Moses was there for. And so I'm saying likewise, when God gives you a word, you can misinterpret that easily and think that word means that you're going this direction, when in fact maybe it actually means that you're supposed to go this direction. So and that's what I'm saying. Likewise, you see happen here, when God tells Adam and Eve that they will surely die, they're misinterpreting what God is saying. They're misinterpreting what God is telling them. They have the belief that they're just going to drop dead, that he means that they're going to immediately, like, boom, just drop dead. That's their belief. That's their misinterpretation of what God is telling them. And so what the serpent is doing here is he's being crafty. He's taking their misinterpretation of what God said, and he's telling them that they are not going to drop dead. So, in a sense, is the serpent lying? Does he lie when he says, you will not die? Part of that is actually true. They didn't die right then and there like they thought. See, you have to understand, again, they misinterpreted what God was telling them. So, to them, when they ate the fruit, they're like, oh, well, my body feels fine, And so they thought that God, at that moment, probably thought that God was lying. Because did they drop dead right then and there? No. So part of what the serpent said is true. Now, but what happens though? What happens? Get this. God, his intentions for Adam and Eve and for humanity was to live forever. I mean, he, put in us the gift of life, the gift of living. Or, he wasn't going to have us die. Adam and Eve could have lived forever. And we likewise, if they wouldn't have fallen, right? That was the initial plan. That's what God was saying is, if you eat this fruit, you will surely die. Why? Because it's almost like the gift of life that God was giving Adam and Eve left them and was replaced by what? Death. So it's almost like God was giving them like a gift of life or like a spirit of life. And when they ate the fruit, that left them, and the spirit of death entered, right? Which would be why Jesus had to die on that cross, so he could give us eternal life. Whoa, baby, come on, woo! That's so exciting, isn't that exciting? And so, with a misinterpretation, yeah, it's you can believe that. You can see how with a misinterpretation of that, how the serpent can use that to kind of, I mean, there is truth a little, just it may be just a little small little truth, because did they die right then and there? No. But you have to understand, Lucifer is using their misinterpretation of what the Lord God actually meant to get them to believe that that they're not going to die. They would die eventually, because obviously something was traded in the spirit realm. Life was traded for death, and they would eventually die of old age. And now humanity, because of that, we do die, a lot of us, from old age. And so yeah, there's a spiritual side to this, but then also you can see where from the, again, just from the misinterpretation, Lucifer, or the serpent, was actually telling the truth from the misinterpretation side of it. But then we do see later that they do die, and so therefore it does. So for a brief moment, is what I'm saying, for a brief moment, Adam and Eve probably believed the serpent for a brief moment, until later, when their body starts to age, they would come to realize that no, God was telling the truth, and the serpent lied. And that's so that's what I'm talking about, is the gift of truth can help somebody to understand what is a lie and what is truth. Even in like a sermon that somebody gives, or whatever, like whatever somebody is talking about, they can. So throughout my time, I've been able to recognize what truth is, from whatever is being said. Is almost like I can discern, have been able to discern, what is true from that statement and what is false from that same statement. Because there's a lot of statements that hold um, that hold truth, but then also hold um, the scientists um, have gotten us to believe that the earth orbits the sun. Now, part of that statement is true. The word orbit, because there is something orbiting something. It's either the sun orbiting our planet, or our planet orbiting the sun. So their part of their statement would be true. Something is orbiting something. Now, the lie of that statement would be that the earth orbits the sun. So now I have to, be able to explain that. I have to explain why I believe that that is false. And that's where the gift of knowledge comes in. That's where the gift of knowledge comes in. And again, I'm not going to talk about it here. And I'm actually coming to my closing statements. And I know I haven't said yet, hit the thumbs up, share with 3 people, and subscribe to this to my channel, and then ring the bell notification. I know that's the first time that I said that, mainly just because I kind of forgot to say that, because I'm so excited that I discovered the gift of truth, and how the gift of truth kind of works together with the gift of knowledge. It it has to work together with the gift of knowledge, or else you're going to have a hard time explaining why you don't think a statement that somebody made is holding truth. Or let's say let's say the church is doing something that you think they shouldn't be doing, because you don't really believe that it would be of God. Well, now you have to use the gift of knowledge to kind of explain why, right? Or else people aren't going to believe you. So that's what I'm saying is if you, like, the gift of truth works with the gift of knowledge, because you can see how it goes hand in hand. You can't just be somebody that has the gift of truth, and not the gift of knowledge, because you're going to have a hard time. Like, if you can see that certain statements are not true, well, the gift of knowledge is going to help you explain why you believe that that statement is false. So that's why I say the gift of knowledge works with the gift of truth. And so hopefully that kind of sums things up, kind of sums up what the gift of truth is. And so yeah, one thing before I leave is, don't forget to share this with 3 people, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you get notified when I go live. And so something else, I do have in the link or in the chat linked. I have it linked where you can get my book, Beauty, a Comedy Series, Season 1. Hopefully, you will check that out. It's a comedy series that, but it's about God bringing me out of my Egypt, and it's about my testimony. So that's the reason why I called it Beauty, a Comedy Series. And so this is season 1, and I'm working on other seasons. So you can go on Amazon, click that link, and it'll bring you right to it. I'm going to get back on shortly and talk about, because today's Saturday, so today is series day, and I'm going through a series, Where Are You At in God's Military? And I'll get back on shortly, because I do want to continue that series. It's just that the Lord this morning, gave me what the gift of truth was, and wanted me to get on and talk about that. So I kind of had to switch things up. So that's the reason why I went early, so I can talk about that and hopefully get done before 9 o'clock. I do plan on jumping back on live at 9 o'clock, or shortly after, to continue the series that I'm doing. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share with 3 people, ring the bell notification. Hope to see you later today around 9 o'clock.